Join us in the fight to restore liberty and American exceptionalism. Together, let's make the case that our charters of freedom are worth defending and honoring. Right here is where the great American experiment comes alive. Let's get to work. So we went out and we defended this idea. We defended the idea of religious freedom. And I interviewed on NBC Nightly News and I was on the Today Show. I only tell you that for one reason. I think they came to me because there was nobody else to talk to. They said, your legislators won't talk. And I talked to some of them, why won't you talk? Well, because the media just skews everything. I don't care, why have the debate? They're going to skew it, that's on them. And so we went in and we had some hardcore debates with the media about what we believed this bill was about. That it wasn't about discrimination. It was about preventing individuals who had sincerely held religious beliefs from being discriminated against. That's what it was about. It was restoring the free exercise clause of the Constitution. Precisely. There should have been no reason for this law but for what the U.S. Supreme Court has done to the free exercise clause. We've got to stand up and defend these ideas. The Constitution, it's far from being outdated. It's relevant today. And so what I'd like to talk about is we do spend a lot of time in our circles talking about the problem. But I want to make something clear as I present some ideas to you, and it's this. United States Congress is not the problem. The President, the executive, is not the problem. The U.S. Supreme Court and the lower courts are not the problem. They are merely symptoms of the problem. We, the people, are the problem. We created this. And if we created the problem, it also means that we can correct the problem. We can do this, ladies and gentlemen. Stop buying into the idea that one man cannot do something. Stop buying into the idea that your voice is useless. You may be one, but you are one man or one woman. You may just be one voice, but the fact of the matter is you are a voice. And we can have impact. 56 men changed the course of not only what would go on in this country, but would change the course of the world and the way the world perceived freedom. And I'm speaking of the 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence, who pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to a cause bigger than them. This is what we must do in 2014. We've got to stop just paying lip service to pledging our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor, and let's go to work together. Let's link arms. Let's march lockstep. Let's go to work. Let's take these people on, because when we have the debate, we will not lose. And let me tell you how I know we won't lose, because I've spent the last decade going on to some of the most liberal college campuses in the country. I spent time in public high schools and private high schools. I've worked with the grassroots organizations. I've been out to Washington, D.C. to testify in front of them, but more importantly, to sit down with congressmen and tell them where they've got it wrong. And I know this, that when they hear the message in its purest, genuine form, it is very tough to reject. In fact, I was in North Phoenix just about a month and a half ago, and there was a liberal in the audience. And after I talked a little bit about the Constitution, she came up to me afterwards. She says, I have to admit I'm a liberal, but after hearing you break down the Constitution like you did, I have to say my position is virtually indefensible. We've got to break down this document. We've got to break it down in some pretty significant ways. And so when I go out to college campuses, for example, I want you to think about just this tactic that I've been using for a decade now. And I want you to start using it in your own execution, in your own efforts to talk with your family members, your friends, and your neighbors. I get up and I want you to imagine going into a high school or a college auditorium with 500, 600, 700 kids in that auditorium. And of course, when they hear that I'm coming, they're like, okay, we've got a crazy guy coming in here to talk about the Constitution. We want to make mincemeat out of him. Right? We're going to heckle him. We're going to do all those things. Love it. Let's heckle. Heckle all you want until I bring you up on the stage, and then you shut the mouth pretty quickly. It's usually how it works in my experience. But I'll ask the question, how many of you here want to be left alone? I've yet to have one hand raised on a college campus where someone raised their hand and said, I want to be told what to do. I'm all about being told what to do. It doesn't happen. So what we're really saying is, you want to be left alone. You don't want to have other people tell you what to do. And now I've already transcended party lines, because I don't want to be told what to do either. So what form of government is best that ensures that I can live a life as I see fit? Not how government sees fit, not how my next door neighbor sees fit, but how I see fit. What is the best form of government? And then I'll ask him the second question. How many here believe that government should follow the rules? Every single hand goes up. Think about this. Think about how powerful this is. Every single hand in every campus that I've been on has raised their hand. I've never had one student, I've never been involved in one debate where somebody has said, I don't believe government should have to follow the rules. But you know where the debate is going, right? What are the rules? Guess what we have now? We have a playing field that they can't win on, because we know what the rule book is. The rule book's called the Constitution. And if you don't like the Constitution, change it. Change it. There are methods in there that allow you to change the document if you don't like it. But you don't get to pick and choose which rules you want to follow and which you don't. Let's have a debate over the rule book. And then the third question, how many here want to keep the fruits of their labor? Now, I will be honest here. I've had some hands go up and says, no, I don't believe that we should be able to keep everything. Okay, fair enough. So what do you believe? Well, I believe we're a compassionate people, and I believe that we should give up a little bit more. I mean, you know, you don't need to make $200,000 a year, $1 million a year. Give up some of that money. And I said, for what purpose? So we can help the poor. Okay, sounds like a great idea. So here's what I'd like to do. All of you who raised your hand and said that you don't want to keep the fruits of your labor, I'd like you to bring up your computer bags. I'd like you to open up your wallets. I'd like you to, if you got some iPods or some iPads there, go ahead and bring those up, and we're going to set them up on the table here. No takers? Well, because here's what we're going to do. We're going to take these things down. We'll pawn them out, and then we'll take that money down to some of the rougher areas of town. And we'll decide who's going to get that money. Oh, no takers. No takers. Well, there's a reason why there's no takers, because you don't believe what you say. Because you're not a socialist. It's just a cool soundbite. I'm still waiting for the day. I've yet to have someone come up and lay it down on the table. Because it's just a cool soundbite. Right? Until it comes out of your pocket, it doesn't really mean anything. But when you start stealing from those who produce, you're breeding a lazy society. You'll breed a society that no longer cares about freedom, that no longer is concerned about prosperity, and making a country and ensuring that this country preserves that American dream. They don't believe the message. They talk a great game, but they don't believe it. So when we recognize these little tactics, these little things that we can bring to the table, these are very powerful. Why are they powerful? Well, we've been working with precinct committeemen, we call them that, back in Arizona, as well as all over the country. And my perspective is this: give me 2 hours with the precinct committeemen, and we'll make an animal out of them. Because, you know, you don't need to learn how to set up a booth. You don't need to know how to create a flyer, as far as I'm concerned. What needs to really happen in the Republican Party is we need to teach people how to debate these issues, to go onto the front lines and have these arguments and win these arguments. And I want you to just think about those 3 questions. If you armed your average precinct committeeman in this country with those 3 questions, and you also made them knowledgeable as the Republican Party platform, and you were able to compare and contrast the Republican Party platform and the Democrat Party platform, we're going to start convincing people in some significant numbers. Because if you're talking about the right to be left alone, do you want to be left alone? Well, which platform advocates the idea to a more significant degree? No question, it's the Republican Party platform. Which party says you have the right to keep the fruits of your labor? It's more so the Republican Party platform than it is the Democrat Party platform. Which party platform says that government should have to follow the rules? Well, the Republican Party platform says they are the party of the Constitution. So if we're talking about keeping the rules and playing by the rules, this is an easy argument. This is an incredibly easy message to sell in America, but we're not doing it. And so I want to teach you just a few things here, because we've talked about some of the problems. Let's talk about some of the solutions. Those three questions are a significant part of that solution. I want to show you what good government looks like, because we often talk about bad government. Well, anybody can say, I sense something is wrong, but not everybody can say, here are the solutions. Here's what good government looks like. I've got something here. This here is a piece of the Berlin Wall. In 1989, you know that the wall came tumbling down. In 1990, they announced the reunification between East and West Germany. It was 30 miles south of that wall in 1990. And I remember going there and just holding this in my hand and recognizing the exceptionalism of America. The thought came to me as a young man, if what these people had to offer was so great, why do you build a wall around them? Why is it that you don't allow them to be free? Why is it that you think that they can live their lives better than they can live their own lives? Why do you do that? And then coming back to America, I recognize that there are individuals in office that don't even believe in the idea of inherent freedoms. They don't believe it. They only believe that government can liberate the individual. Watch this. You have, I mentioned it earlier, that we believe that our Constitution is founded upon two pillars. Men and women are born free, and men and women cannot be trusted with power. What does the other side believe? The other side believes this: men and women are not born free, and men and women with power can be trusted. That's what they believe, and I can prove it. Senator Tom Harkin came out not too long ago after the health care bill, and he said this: we have finally given the people the unalienable right of health care. See, this is a man who believes that it's only government that can provide liberty to the people. He doesn't even understand what an unalienable right is. Health care is as far as can be from an unalienable right. An unalienable right is that which can be practiced without the aid of a third party. In order to practice this right, as he wants to call it, of health care, you have to steal from some and give it to others. That's not an unalienable right. But nevertheless, their position is this: only government can liberate man. We don't believe that. We believe men and women are born inherently free. And so, Woodrow Wilson, this is where it all starts. Woodrow Wilson is the guy, the most powerful man in the world in 1913, and he says this: if you want to understand the Declaration of Independence, don't read the preface. Those are his words, not mine. If you want to understand the Declaration of Independence, don't read the preface. What's the preface? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. He says reject that outright if you want to understand the Declaration. He says the most important part of the Declaration of Independence are the 27 grievances. The 27 grievances. And he says, just as those guys who wrote this document were free, so are we free to decide how we're going to deal with our problems. We are not bound by the words of the founders, said Woodrow Wilson. He was an individual that did not believe that men and women are born free. In fact, he said this: you may say that men and women are born free, but deep down in your hearts you know they are not. That was not my words, President Wilson. FDR said this: necessitous men are not born free. Barack Obama, you didn't build that. What are they talking about? Here's what they're talking about. When you leave here tonight, you all are going to make some decisions on how to get home. When I leave, Rita's going to go right, and she's going to go right, and she's going to go right again. That's where we're going. So, and if you were to ask us, why did we make those decisions? We would say, because we're free to make those decisions. We can go home any way we want. But what the other side says, what the Woodrow Wilson and FDR and the LBJ and the Barack Obama says, is this: the reason why you made the decisions that you made is because, metaphorically, you are not free. I mean, metaphorically, as you made those turns, you are not free. You suffer from an addiction. You don't have enough food on the table, And only we can fix that problem by giving you food stamps. You don't have adequate health care. You are enslaved, and the only way that that problem can be fixed is by providing you health care. You don't have adequate housing, therefore you're not free, and the only way that we can fix that problem is by providing you with adequate housing. And the list goes on and on and on. It's a philosophy that stands in contradistinction from what it is that we believe. This is the debate we need to have. We need to have this discussion. We believe that we are inherently free. And the moment you allow government to decide what your liberties are, pray that the constitutional republic does not end. We've got big problems on our hands. Liberties don't come from the government. Liberties don't come from a piece of paper. Liberties don't come from other people. They come from the Creator. They come from the Creator. We are endowed by the Creator with these unalienable rights. They exist by virtue of our humanity. That's number one. Number two is this. Anybody willing to put their hands in this? It's a beaver trap. It's a beaver trap here. If the number one principle of good government is a recognition that we are inherently free, what comes next? You have to have a document that ultimately protects that idea. And we have the oldest constitution in the world. The oldest, and yet we're one of the youngest countries. Think about this for a moment. Brazil has had 8 constitutions since 1822. Poland's had 4 since 1917. Russia, 7 since 1923. France, 15 since R1. Afghanistan, 5 in the 20th century alone. There's something different about this document. One of the things that makes this document different is it's really twofold. Division of power, the separation of authority, and the idea of enumerating rights. We know that the document doesn't give us rights. We know that the First Amendment doesn't give us free speech. The reason why we have free speech noted in the First Amendment is for what reason? To tell government to keep their hands off free speech. There's a reason why we have a Second Amendment. It's not to tell us that we have the right to defend ourselves. It's to tell government to keep their hands off of our guns. And there's, yeah. And there's a reason why it says free exercise of religion. As government goes about doing what we permitted them to do, stay off of the free exercise of religion. Stay away from it. It's a warning. Stay away. And so, if we limit power, which we must do, and our Constitution does, and we have enumeration of rights, there's something to be said about this trap. In fact, can I have a volunteer? Anybody that's willing, brave enough to come on up? Yes, you. Yes. All right. Will you put your finger in this?
No.
No. Will you put the pencil in there?
Sure.
Be careful. Take it on the top. There you go. Okay. Here we go. Hold on. I want to get away from this crap.
Oh, no. He's stepping away.
Go. This is a bit scary for me.
Is it loud?
No, it's not too bad.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Now, can you think of a way that this is analogous to the U.S. Constitution?
Well, thank goodness we have a Constitution that keeps us free.
Yes.
Protects our freedom.
That's right. And the best way to maintain and preserve our freedom is through that document. Exactly. So I want to talk about that. Thank you, Marilyn.
Oh, you're welcome.
You risked your life here. Very good.